Good evening, all, and welcome to the Toon Review. Tonight is another Carabao Cup chat with our good friend Rob from the Roobenstein channel. And if you want to go and subscribe to him, his link is down below in the description. Sorry for the late start, guys. I had mega problems, technical issues. I tried to change something that wasn't broken and ended up looking like an absolute fart. But never mind. Rob, good evening, buddy.
Hello, thanks for having me on.
You're welcome,
hope you guys are all doing good. A very exciting week for Newcastle. Got me.
You're all
ready.
set. You're all set, ready to go.
I am. Yeah, cannot wait for it.
Is the excitement kicking in?
It is. It's been a funny one. I think since the semi-final, to be honest. I know we've been, and Eddie House said it a lot. We'll concentrate on this game. We'll concentrate on that game. But I just think, for me anyway, it's just in the back of my head all the time, sort of now kind of be on the proper run up and where you can really get excited for it is exciting.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's massive, isn't it? It's a huge weekend for us. Probably a bigger weekend than what it is for the Mancs down the road, because obviously they've experienced cup finals of recent years, and well, we haven't. 1999, our previous one. We all know how that ended up as well. So this is a huge game. Let's have a look at some of the comments before we get cracking. Simon says he's shit scared in case we do what we did for 12 minutes on Saturday. It's gone, Simon. It's gone. Plus Bruno's back. Good evening, Santos. George says Roobenstein in the house. Good evening to Rach, who's modern back there. Devon says good evening, TTR family, and good evening, Rob. Legend, welcome to the Toon Review show. Richard says two best NUFC channels, keep up the good work that you're both doing. Hey up Toon fans. Peter says John Sinclair's tweeted he has a ticket for the final. He didn't say which end though. Well, that's very debatable. I mean, I rip the pee out of John every time I see him for his tweets that he puts out to the Man United fans. Happy what is it, Billy? Happy match day to our Reds family. Oh yeah. Oh.
I'm going to imagine he's somewhere on the halfway line.
Yeah, that'll probably be
in
right
between the two.
Yeah, definitely.
You have a half and half shirt instead of a half and half scarf.
Yeah. Whichever team's winning, he'll open that side of the jacket, won't he? Yeah. Up the A1 says 4 more sleeps. We'll all been getting flag scarves all ready for Sunday watch along. We will be swinging them with the rest of the Newcastle supporters. James says, how are Robbo the Geordie? Paul says, evening everyone, and Rob, you can feel the build-up now and you can feel the drive in Bruno's and Dan's interviews. I've been very impressed with what they've had to say. Certainly not getting carried away or anything like that, but I think, Alex, we're going in. The players are up for this.
I mean, it's nice that they're down to earth enough to be saying pretty much what we're saying, about things in shop windows, atmosphere. It's kind of the same thing that we're all noticing and we're all feeling, which is really nice. They are down to earth. This is why it's a great city and a great football club, because it's a bit different. It's not the PSG and that sort of place. It's very much more. People are more passionate and down to earth about their football. It means more, especially we've got a lot of local lads playing in the first team right now. Yeah. It just feels so much more personal to them and to us. And as you said at the start, I think we want this a lot more than Man United. I just went for a run with a Manchester United friend of mine.
Well, and he didn't push him in front of a car or anything.
Well, he didn't even watch the Barcelona game last week. And I said, well, look, if my team are playing Barcelona, I would die before I didn't watch that. Like, that is my priority. That's incredible to watch my club play against Barcelona. That'd be amazing. And you didn't even watch it. He went, no, I'll just watch the highlights. Like, these people, it's just different. I don't want to say we're better fans, but we're better fans and we deserve it. And the players deserve it as well. We just do.
Do you share this hatred of Man United that we have on this channel, Rob?
I mean, I must say, I do listen all the time, and you guys do make me laugh. I mean, it's just one of those, isn't it, where I think there's quite a few games, and you talk about, Newcastle with the 5-1 win, the Philly Albert chip. I mean, it's something that the Newcastle fans hold on to. I'll be totally honest and say that I'd love to give them a good battering at the weekend. So yeah, fingers crossed it is a good one.
Billy, obviously we've heard from Newcastle today. Well, Craig Hope. He's reported that obviously there'll be no open top bus tour if we lose. I wouldn't have expected one, to be honest, but there was one in '99, which in a recent interview, Alan Shearer was saying that he felt a bit embarrassed having an open top bus tour for losing a final.
Yeah, it's kind of epitomising what the club's about now. We're not there to lose. We're there to win the game. And the interviews that Dan Burn and Bruno gave today, there was a determination in what they were saying, and we haven't had that before. We've got hope. We've got a little bit of expectation, a bit of optimism. But they seem determined, and that's what you want from your players going out of Wembley in a big final against a side that, they know that we've got a hatred for them. Every club that isn't Man United's got a hatred for Man United. It's as simple as that. They're the most supported team in certainly in Britain, and that's down to a lot of it's down to past successes. Most of it's down to past successes. Nothing to do with having an affinity to the club.
I mean,
whereas our club's different.
Yeah, there is a lot of clubs, isn't there? Neutral clubs supporting us this weekend, which is
I've had a lot of support nice. Today. I've been wearing the black and white. I've been wearing several black and white shirts in rotation this week at the gym every day. I had an old fella come up to me who was a Fulham fan and say, "I hope you stuff them at the weekend." And then I went to Sainsbury's afterwards and had an old boy with his Leicester bag in his shopping trolley say, "I hope you stuff them at the weekend." They all want it. This is Fulham and Leicester, no affiliation to us whatsoever. I think we've got the majority of the neutrals on our side.
Well, we hope so. Adrian, welcome back, mate. He says, everyone, long time no speak. I've been through a cancer scare, but it looks like it's just a really bad infection. Great to know, Adrian. And I hope you get better soon, matey. Shamrock's in the house. Wes, good evening to you. Geordie Boy says, maybe Alex is wondering where the batteries go on his new Bangladeshi laptop. No, his laptop's still going. It's still breathing. It's chugging away.
Still on the old one at the moment. It's doing all right as long as I don't screen share and do all my stats, which is sad, but hopefully soon.
Which is basically what he's here to do. So we do have a slight issue there. Mark, good evening to you. Simon says, just jealous. Wish I'd come up with that. Would be farmer. Every once in a while I find one. I have no idea what you're talking about, mate, but it sounds interesting. Carl says, if a Man United player gets a red card tomorrow, are they out of the final? I don't know.
Interesting.
Of course they're not. It's a European game tomorrow. Casemiro's played Casemiro's played in this game tomorrow. He was banned for the last 3 Premier League games.
European bans only carry over to European games.
Unless they do a Roy Keane type tackle on Alf Haaland and breaks his knee ligaments, they won't be out on Sunday.
Okay. Simon says he loves the intro. Thanks, mate. Would-be farmer says, I love Rob's spirit. I mean, we have had a lot of feedback since we told everyone you were coming on the phone on the show, Rob, because just people saying, "Oh, he's always smiling." You're a bit like the Miggy of Newcastle YouTube, aren't you? Really?
Well, I try to always be upbeat. I mean, you have to be, or you had to be for a long time as a Newcastle fan, walking up to watch us lose every week. I mean, if I wasn't smiling, I would have been crying. So I've always just tried to take that viewpoint of, we'll go in and we'll always give it a go, and it's quite rewarding at this point now, because of all those times when I've come out of a game, or I've done a reaction, or I've done a video, or even just stood in the pub and talked to the lads and tried to always give that positive spin on. Yeah. Now we're actually doing great, so I'm well entitled to.
Definitely. I mean, most of the time I see Rob is outside the ground after the game, and he's walking sideways, but he still knows where he is.
Got to enjoy it when you win.
Absolutely. Carlos says, "Welcome, Rob, top bloke." James, hi, Rob the Geordie. Ado says, good old Rube. A very good evening to KB in Belfast. Hope you're well. Wes wants to know when you're heading down to Wembley, Rob.
I'm heading down on the Saturday morning on the train, so quite early. I It's going to be packed, I'm sure. I'm going to get there half an hour early for the train just to make sure I can get on it.
Well, they did put out a thing today, didn't they, saying that it's going to be a bit packed on the 25th and 26th. There was just, when I went to book, there was nothing, absolutely nothing. And there was later on in the day, would see us getting into London at 10 to 2, which is no time to celebrate a Wembley final. You're rushing to the ground to get in, and then you've got to rush back. So I'm driving, but I cannot wait because, even driving down on the Saturday, I expect to see loads of Newcastle flags hanging out the windows of cars or buses or whatever it is. Because I think a lot of people are going down on the Saturday to avoid the congestion on the road of the Sunday. So the excitement is well and truly building up. Just want to talk about Joe Willock as well. Obviously, it was reported again today that he's 50-50, very touch and go, Alex. Do you see him making it?
Maybe. You would imagine he'd stay with ASM and the team that's been used recently, especially because I don't think the forward line had anything to do with our defeat against Liverpool. I thought they performed okay. Could do with being a little bit more clinical, but that's neither here nor there. And obviously I'm talking about ASM because that's who would potentially drop out for Willock to try and shift into that funny left wing rotation he does with Joe Linton. If he's 50-50, then it's still a possibility because he's been favoured for a defensive system for helping out the left back, i.e. Dan Burn, although Dan Burn didn't really do that much wrong against Liverpool. It was used against Arsenal very, very effectively. Very effectively. They had zero space. Saka had nowhere to go. So it's really competent. But, Willock, before the injury, wasn't playing brilliantly either. He'd have spurts of 20-30 minutes where there'd be great one-touch football and really great driving runs, and then he'd make an error and he'd drop there'd be a little bit of a confidence drop, his head would drop, and he'd start making a few sloppy errors. Obviously we conceded a goal from his pass back against Southampton in the cup. So it's been a bit 50-50, not just about his form and his injury. So I think it's the safest option is probably just stay with Maxi in the lineup. And then the real question is Isak or Wilson.
Yep. Big question. Ian, Paul, ask Rob who his favourite out of you three is. Rob loves everybody.
Couldn't possibly pick.
Exactly. Kairos says, old Billy offering significant experience to the show, lads. Let's go. Is he calling you old?
Cheeky bastard. I'm only 26.
He's younger than me.
I was 28 years ago.
Roger, good evening. Kendo says Liverpool could have had Walkarius, the man that make Ginola almost grab his hair conditioner. Indeed. Paul Gallant, good evening to you. Hope you're well. James, greetings from the Cayman Islands. Hope you're well, James. Lawrence is in. Good evening, Lawrence. Scott Phillips, Man City FC says, come on, Newcastle, the whole of Manchester is behind you. Yeah. Well, I mean, we keep saying, it's a home game for Man United because most of the fans live there. But I think we all know that. Rob, if we're talking about strikers, we obviously we did an interview with Henry Winter yesterday, and he was very, very positive about Callum Wilson and saying if Callum's fit, then he should start. Now, I agree with him because I think he can get under the skin of the two Man United centre-backs. What do you think?
In fairness, I think I agree as well. It was one of those things where Callum Wilson did have a bit of was coming back a little bit cold, a little bit quiet from the World Cup. And when you've got someone like Isak returning, and I'm thinking, we've got a £60 million player on the bench there. Surely we've got to be getting him into action. We saw him come on, for 20-minute, 30-minute spells, looked really bright, really quick, creating. And then, strangely enough, I feel like when we actually started Isak, he didn't look quite as good. I don't know if that's just integrating with the side or maybe it's a confidence thing, but seemingly the best we've seen of Isak of late is probably when he's actually come on. So if Wilson is fit, I think I would agree. Let him run his legs out because, we are losing his legs a little bit. Let him run it out for 60 minutes flat out, and then give Isak a 30-minute spell at the end to really mix it up.
Yeah, I mean, Billy, you mentioned that, didn't you? He may not have the physical strength yet. I mean, that's not to say he won't. He's still young, isn't he? So I mean, but you did notice that, didn't you?
Early on, yeah, he's not a striker that plays with his back to goal, is he? With
No.
Callum Wilson, it's horses for courses for me. I think the Manchester United centre back partnership are susceptible to a bit of physicality, and Callum Wilson can provide that. I'm not so sure Alexander Isak can at the moment. But the scene is set for Callum Wilson to run and ragged for 60 minutes, like Rob just said, and then for Isak to come on and take advantage of that and take advantage of their tired legs and run past them. So, there's lots of positive scenarios in my head at the minute, which is quite strange for Wembley final, I've got to say.
Trolls, thank you very much for your 50 Norwegian krona. Again, thank you so much for that super chat, bud. Geordie Howayman says the 74 homecoming was amazing since I was 7. I wasn't on the planet then, mate, so I wouldn't have a clue. Billy, you were?
I was at the game. I was at the first ever game. It was the 74 Cup final.
Wow.
But obviously didn't get back to Newcastle for the homecoming. But I mean, I'll never forget the noise that the Newcastle end made as a kind of 5-year-old, almost 6-year-old. The noise was deafening, and it was so exciting. Of course, famous story is I was kind of cheering for Kevin Keegan, even though he was playing for Liverpool at the time.
I
know.
There you go. He scored, didn't he?
Twice.
Yeah.
Tore to bits.
Yeah. Rob, if we look back just away from the cup final for a moment and look back at the transfer window, because I haven't asked you when I've seen you, but when Shelvey went, and I know we were playing that night, obviously it was very, very difficult, but when Shelvey went, did you think in your mind that maybe we had somebody coming in, given how stretched our midfield was?
Yeah. I honestly, I wasn't sure whether it was going to happen or not. But obviously, when the injury news in the centre midfield came through, and I just thought, is there still a chance to just tear that Shelvey contract up and say, actually, by the way, you've got to stay? Because I did actually think, are we really going to let this happen? It's a tough one because the January window is a tough window, and what we don't want to do is go out and buy players and then come to the summer window. Similar, Chris Wood did us a great job at keeping us up and was a great part of the team, but really, the team moved on so quickly in 3 months, six months' time, we're having to upgrade him again. So I think they're trying to be quite careful of bringing in a player and then just having to move them on and upgrade them again as soon as we get to the summer. But I was a little bit surprised that we allowed him to go, having not brought in, and that at the start of the January window, that was the position that everybody said we needed to strengthen. We didn't actually bring a player in, then we'll let one go. I think Gordon was a good move. I think Gordon can kind of play out on a wing. He can play through the middle. I think if he was pushed to it, he could probably play in the centre mid as well. So he was a versatile guy. But yeah, I was kind of holding out for, and we did it in the summer and it didn't work out. But loans, could we have just got something through to kind of bulk it up?
Yeah.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing. We didn't know Bruno was going to go ahead and get a red card, and
very true. Yeah.
And generally speaking, the guys who are playing have been great. Let's hope there's no more red cards or injuries.
Indeed. Keith Truscott, thank you for your £5 super chat. Evening, guys. Carrius is going to do the job for us. He's going 2-0 to the Toon. And another £5 super chat from Geordie Lad. Thank you very much. He says, hope you're all well. You see, Matty from the Magpie channel has paid 2.4k for a Wembley ticket. People who got picked in the ballot are so lucky. 2-0 win on Sunday. Is that right? Has Matty paid $2.5 grand?
I did see he put a tweet out just earlier.
Wow.
Yeah, I've not messaged him about it, but
bloody hell. I saw Matty. Not last game, the game before. He basically was walking around. He collared us for an interview to say, what would I prefer, Carabao Cup or top 4? And I was like, wait, both, of course. You know what I mean? You can't answer that either way. Well, listen, if he wants to go at the game, it's everybody's entitlement to buy tickets, no matter how much they are. But have you been surprised how much scamming that's been online, Rob, about tickets? People handing over fortunes.
Am I surprised it's happened? possibly not. Am I disappointed to see it happening? Then yeah, I understand that the club is keeping a watch on some of these tickets that are being reposted, and that they are reportedly looking to try and retract or even reach out to people who they can see are reposting them. So obviously people who are doing it are being clever. They're going to try and hide the barcode. They're going to hide the seat number. They're not going to want to allow the club to spot it. But yeah, I was one of the lucky few who managed to grab a ticket from the back from the period 2. So thankfully I've not had to deep too far into that.
Yeah, it is a shame, but I guess I think every football club will have the same problem for cup finals, especially the teams that, don't get their season in, season out. For us, it's our first one since '99, and it's going to be, everybody wants to be part of the occasion. Peter Dolan, thank you for your £20 super chat, mate. That's very, very kind. No comment there, but thank you so much. Physics YT says, hi all, hope you're all doing well. I'm also a huge fan of Rob's channel and subscribe to the Toon Review and Rob's. Thank you very much, buddy. Kendo says, so stoked for the game. No matter what, we made a final. Legends from where we came from 12 months ago. Miles away from that. Miles away. James says, I can recommend any Newcastle fan to Robbo's channel. Always a good watch. It is, and what I love your Toon Tuesdays. Thank
you.
But you never know where you're going to be. Sometimes you're at your desk, or then you're out in a field somewhere, and it's. Do you like sort of mixing it up when you do your videos?
I do try to, yeah. Sometimes I find the ones I enjoy are actually a bit more spur of the moment, where you can actually just have a bit of well, I was going to say a chat with your phone, but it's a chat with the community, and that's actually what I really like with you guys. You've got a great support on the live streams. It's always a good watch, but yeah, it's fun to try and mix it up. It obviously depends on what you're up to that day. It is sometimes easier just to sit down in the spare room or the living room, but it is nice on occasion to get out and maybe have a wander around St. James's, or I think I was in the Town Moor not too long ago. That was quite a fun one.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
it's not great when it's windy though. If you try and go out,
I would expect not. No,
well, I've wind's blowing, but
I've just bought a microphone that plugs into my iPhone. It's a wireless microphone, and you get two little clip-on microphones with it, so you can sort of interview people with two mics or just the one, and it just saves me carrying camera stuff around, because if there's a bigger pain to go on the match, it's taking all your camera gear, and I prefer to keep all my camera gear in the studio where I know it's safe, because cameras aren't cheap for what I do on here, so the fact that the microphones come today, test it out, it's great. So all I need is a selfie stick or something like that to hold the phone, and I've got everything I need there and then, and I can just obviously any videos that I do on the iPhone, I can airdrop to the MacBook and edit them and send them out that way. So, technology's advancing. But what made you start YouTube, Rob? What got you into it?
In fairness, I was thinking about this the other day. My first Newcastle video was actually a vlog, and it is on the channel if people want to watch it. It ain't great, to be honest. I look very uninterested in the video, which is possibly why I started being a little bit more animated. I get the bus from round the corner of the house. I go to the ground, and that was my first vlog. Like 7 years ago, and it was a friendly against Bayern Mönchengladbach. I must have been a bad omen, because that was actually the season we got relegated before Rafa. So that was my first season of doing the videos. It was the following season when I actually was able to get a season ticket with Rafa, and then that was kind of the season where the channel, I guess, started becoming a little bit more, posting a lot more regularly. But yeah, I've always been a Newcastle fan. Going to the games, and it was a time when YouTube was kind of, I feel like, changing from you go on it to find out how to do something to now, hang on, people are doing like shows on here. It was a little bit strange, and I just saw a few other people doing a few things and just thought, you know what, maybe I could give it a go. And at the time, I think I was posting once every 3 or 4 weeks. Like I wasn't doing regular content. But then as the kind of hype around YouTube grew, and the The community grew. I thought, you know what, I'll give this a bash. But
yeah,
it's really been the last.
You're over 30k subs now, aren't you? So it's going well.
Yeah.
2 seconds. We've got a £5 super chat in from Sensible Monica, who says, I paid £4,300 for 2 tickets to be with my son. Supported them for 52 years. Survived cancer. F what some think. I'm going, and that's that. Fantastic attitude, mate, and good for you. Absolutely. MDK Cleaning Services, thank you for your fiver. He says, even into the best collaboration on YouTube, TTR and Roobenstein, and he is very, very excited for the weekend. And we've also got a £10 super chat from Chippers. My God, what life must be to get a £10 super chat off Chippers. All I will say is I will love it if we beat them. Love it. Now, Rob, I know you've done a lot of stadium tours as well, which you put on your channel, and I found them fascinating. What's been the best one you've been to, in your opinion?
St. James's Park.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a given. That's a given.
You know, it's interesting because I've been asked, and sometimes it's not necessarily how good the stadium is. Sometimes it's what the tour's like and what the tour guide's like and what they allow you to see. I think Man City was great because there's so much there, and the technology in terms of what they're offering in a stadium is so good. I mean, I know there's a lot of talk on training grounds with Newcastle and what that's the thing. Never mind how we're playing, everyone's celebrating the fact that the training ground got a lick of paint, you know. So it's a great talking point of the training ground, the stadium. What can we upgrade? And going to see something like Man City is extremely cool to see. But I remember actually the Spurs stadium, I would probably say, was the best one I've been to. Obviously, that was their new stadium, but it was more than anything, it was the guide on the day. It was like an hour and a half tour. It was quite a small group as well, so that really helped to ask as many questions as possible. In fairness, I've done the Newcastle one a few times. If you ever get the chance to go to St. James's Park, I mean, it means more to us because we are Newcastle fans. But they do a really good tour there. They take a lot of time with the fans. You can get as many photos as you want, as many videos as you want. So I'm plugging our own team here. But yeah, the Newcastle one's good too.
Yeah, I've been on the Newcastle one a while back. But I want to do it again with me daughter, so she can sort of get an insight. Yes,
wait till next week when there's a trophy in the cabinet.
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah. That's a good point, Billy. That's a very good point. David says, I've said it once before, that Rob is the Professor Brian Cox of the Toon YouTube community. Wow.
I'll take it as a compliment.
Brian Cox.
Thank you.
Hey, I'll tell you what, things are getting weird tonight, guys, because Jimmy's just sent a super chat over in the States. Jimmy, $9.99. Thank you so much, buddy. He hasn't put a comment in there, but thank God he hasn't, because it was probably filth. Sensible Monica says, why are people getting nasty about the price of resale tickets? 2 adults striking a deal that both parties agree on. It's not that. It's people that have told people that they have tickets, they've sent the money, and they've disappeared off the face of the planet and ripped them off. And Alex, that's what we're trying to get at here, that, you know, fair enough, 2 adults striking a deal, that's not a problem. But it's when somebody's, you know, offered tickets and then they've paid and then they've disappeared off the face of the planet.
It is what it is at the moment. It's, you know, we've discussed this a little bit, that I'm sure the ticket process will improve. Obviously, this is a specific situation because we're not used to going to Wembley under this ownership, or even you know, several ownerships prior to that. But I'm sure in the summer, as we discussed with Henry Winter, that, you know, I'm sure with the chief executive, we will improve the ticket processes, the box office, the online situation, just everything to do with that, and then potentially the coordination with anywhere where we're going to be in Europe, because obviously if we qualify for anywhere in Europe, which is looking fairly likely, minimum Conference League, we're going to need to make sure that's coordinated effectively for fans going abroad. So it's something that's going to need to be addressed in the summer, and I think it will be. It just takes time. Again, like we said, it's been 16 months of ownership. They can't do everything straight away. So that is something they'll probably get to address in the summer, and hopefully some more players.
Yeah. Rob, you were talking about the trains before. I did see a post from LNER as well saying that there's the banned alcohol on all the trains coming back after the final.
Yeah. The dry train.
Good luck with that one.
I did.
Well,
see
Henry
that.
Winter called them the vomit comet, didn't he? Coming home, which is probably right. Is that right or wrong, Rob?
Well, I would say it's wrong, but that's because I like to have a drink, so it's not
I've
right
definitely
for me.
seen it posted as it's going to be a dry train.
Yeah.
It's
going to be a dry
and
train.
I mean, in fairness, I was even messaging saying, "What's the plan ahead of the actual game?" Because I know when you kind of get out towards Wembley, there's a few pubs there. I mean, there's set to be a fan zone, but that only is going to hold 2,000 fans. I mean,
And it's only for people with tickets, Rob.
Yeah, so I'd actually said in a video jokingly yesterday or the day before, well, semi-jokingly to be honest, I said, "Is everyone just going to take their cans down to Wembley Way?" I mean, I don't know what the plan is, but apparently that's totally alcohol-free there as well, and they're getting onto that. So, I mean, if there's enough people doing it, maybe, who knows? But on the day, I'm going to have to work out what I'm doing for that too.
Well, they'll probably want to charge you 15 quid a pint inside Wembley. That's why. I mean, look,
and it's
you
short,
can't.
and it's short and all.
Well, it will be, yeah. But you can't tell me that there will be no Geordies getting alcohol on those trains coming home, right? They'll have it down the socks, down the pants, wherever they can hide it until that train's on the way. And they will not be stopped. I just don't see it at all. Sean says, "Is anyone up for stealing the wheels off the Man United bus?" Well,
we're not Scousers.
No. Oh,
they'll go on the tube anyway.
Well, they're just 5 minutes away on the tube, isn't it? Yeah.
Got to kick them while they're down after that Madrid defeat, which we predicted, by the way. We predicted if they play to that standard, they will get thumped because we're a good team and Real Madrid are much better than us offensively. If they play that same way, they'll get punished. 5 goals. We called it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know about you, Rob, but we weren't impressed with Liverpool's defence on Saturday. We thought that a team, we could have got a draw. We could have, even won the game, given the first 10 minutes. But Liverpool's defence just looked really shaky. And, of course, that was confirmed against Madrid last night.
Yeah, it's funny, actually. I was listening to the radio and Alexander-Arnold is getting quite a lot of stick at the moment. But to be honest, I think it's fairly deserved. Like, he hasn't been very good, and neither has Liverpool as a whole. I said in my video after the game, obviously losing and Nick Pope, I mostly concentrated on that side of things. And there was quite a lot of spirit in the comments to the video of saying, come on, Rob, you know what? In the second half with 10 men, we were actually very good. And, I actually watched the game back, and it's true. We had
we had a higher XG than them.
Yeah, a 10-minute blip. It was a hell of a blip.
Yeah,
2 goals and a red card. But other than that, I thought we did good. So, I'm hoping with the addition of Bruno, that we can, give it a serious go this Sunday.
Well, it was good that Eddie House come out and said that Bruno, he's been very frustrated, obviously not playing the last 3 games. But he's in a good place mentally and he's raring to go. I mean, that's what we want to hear. Now, I'm sure you have answered this to me before, Rob, but obviously Paul Geordie wants to know where the channel name Roobenstein came from, and also wants to thank Billy for his commentary of the Liverpool game at the weekend. So, Rob, do you want to quickly explain just to people who don't know why you called it Roobenstein?
Yeah, it's not overly exciting, to be fair. And as I say, 7 years ago when I made the channel, in fairness, I seen the comment from someone earlier saying change it to Robbo the Geordie. I mean, I've had thoughts of changing the name, but generally, Rob, nickname Rube, as a joke from a friend, which then developed into Roobenstein. And 7 years ago, people weren't calling the channels by their names. They were coming up with slightly more wacky names. And at the time, with nobody watching as well, by the way, for the first year, I just thought I'll just call it that, and it's stuck since.
Yeah, and it's now. Are you over 40K now, Rob?
I just hit 40K.
Wow, well done, buddy. Well done.
Thank you.
Fantastic, and I didn't realize that. You'll need to change.
That's quite all right. I didn't want to,
no, hey, mate, blow the old trumpet. Why not? I didn't actually know that. I know Adam's just hit 40K as well, so that's fantastic for him as well. Nice one, mate. Really, you'll need to change your Twitter thing though, because it still says 30K.
Ah, you see, you're on it, Paul. Yes, I'll update
that's. I had to do my research. I mean, these two don't think I do, but I actually do a bit of research. King of Qatar is here. Roy, good evening to you. Nice to see you on the show, Rob. goosebumps the nearest Sunday approaches, says Alistair. I mean, how are the nerves we used to? Because at the minute, mine are okay. I think as Friday comes and then I'm packing my bag for 2 nights away and, starting to feel the vibes ramping up and, it gets to that point where, the goosebumps start, the nerves churn. Are you feeling like that at the minute?
I can only compare it to how I felt in 98 and 99.
Yeah.
We were playing against league champions on both occasions. Had a little bit of false optimism, but not a lot, if I'm perfectly honest. Was quite ready for a defeat and thought we'd get a defeat on both occasions. However, this time I think we've got a real chance of winning the game. I don't think there's much between Man United and Newcastle United in terms of quality. To be honest, either in terms of form, because Man United have been winning games, but they've been lucky as hell most of them. There was 3 down of 20 minutes Sunday even. They're getting referee decisions week in, week out. So I'm very confident. I think we've got the team to actually bring them down. I mean, it's horrible being this confident, but I think it's better than having the slightly depressing thought that we're going to go to Wembley and get our asses kicked. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to a victory as well.
Jabba Dabba thanks for your £5 super chat. He says, Roobenstein, nice to see you, buddy. So there you go. Wes says, I did an Adam Peter day and took my son to the training ground. And the only player to stop was Anthony Gordon. Signed my son's number 8 shirt, which he was buzzing with and got man of the match this evening. Great news, Wes. I think the players are in a zone at the minute. I wouldn't expect too much from them this week with the build-up to a final. I think they just want to focus on everything on this cup final. Physics says, hi, all. Hope you've had a good week so far. Great to see Rob as well. Love both channels. Simon says, did anyone see Madrid last night? Christ, they're slick. On that performance, be amazed if they don't win the Champions League. Watch Napoli, mate. I would suggest you watch Napoli. Geordie Boy, thank you for £5 super chat. And he says, congrats on the 40k, Rob. How long has it took you to get a 40k? 7 years? Is that since you started?
Well, it was the 15-16 season when we got relegated, was it? So that was when I mean, as I say, the first couple of years weren't quite uploading quite so often. But yeah, I mean, I think
YouTube was very different back then, though, wasn't it? It's practically TV now, isn't it? People watch YouTube more than they do domestic TV.
Well, I think at the time as well, when you're getting relegated, nobody wants to particularly watch it then either.
Point as well, yeah.
It has been. I mean, it's I've had, and I got asked this recently as well about, have I ever thought about stopping YouTube? Because it was tough at times where, it's all. I mean, I was going to the games regardless, and it's one thing to go to the pub and moan about it with your mates. It's another thing to then go home and do a video every single weekend talking about the protests, the owner, the loss, the relegation. I mean, it was not, but I kept going and I enjoyed it. There was still parts to it that were good fun. It was great. As I say, a lot of it was kind of like, as I say, the community and kind of allowing like my experience to kind of be shown to fans who maybe couldn't go and stuff. So there was loads of positives to it. But strangely enough, I think that the point where I was actually closest to packing it in was actually after the Wolves game, a week before the takeover. I just remember thinking, you know what, it's really got to that point now where this isn't.
We were all at that game, weren't we? Because I remember, there was loads of us down there, and honestly, it was like. It was horrible. It was horrible coming out that ground. It was horrible weather. It was a horrible day. Even Jeff Hendrick bloody scored. I mean, but things have changed since then. I think the growth of obviously Newcastle United will interest people from further and further afield. I mean, you'll know subscribers are all over the world. It's incredible when people join us on live shows and say that from Cayman Islands and America and. It's incredible. New Zealand, Australia, all that type of thing. It's just crazy.
There's so much. As I say, as I said to you earlier on, I'm not often able to catch the live shows, but I always like to listen to them back. And I just think at that time, pre-takeover, people would do that. People would go to the pub, they would go to the game, they would go to a mate, or watch it on Sky, but then they would turn it off and they wouldn't really look at Newcastle for the rest of the week until they played again at the weekend. There's just such a huge buzz and excitement. You can't get enough. Like, you just can't. Like, I'm sit all night, every night watching Newcastle content, whether I'm making it or watching it. There's just so much excitement. And I think that's really good for the club. It's good for the Newcastle YouTube stuff as well, but for the fans, just to enjoy it, because it hasn't been fun for quite a while.
I'll agree with that. Looney Tune says, big up Rob and Toon Review. Keep up the great work, and I'm praying we get a win in the final. I'm so nervous. John says, evening lads, it's a great weekend for me, us all. It's massive. Dan says, are you guys surprised Ashby hasn't even made a bench spot yet? Alex, are you surprised by that?
No, not really. I mean, he was brought in with first team intentions, but it depends on how much football he played for the West Ham sort of youth teams prior to joining us. It depends what condition he arrived in. Maybe he's getting up to speed tactically. I'm sure he will soon, definitely. I mean, we've got some older fullbacks. Obviously, Jacob Murphy was trusted in the right back spot when Trippier came off against Liverpool. And Murphy, despite not being an out and out true right back, has still had, some responsibility as a right wing back on occasion, and was trusted because of his age and experience within the squad. So I'm sure Ashby will definitely get some time on the bench very soon. It just takes a little, it's been every signing we've made. Generally likes to bed people in carefully, learn the system, learn the lads, and get used to everything. So it'd be no different with the new signings, really.
Now, obviously, one bit of news that did come out today was the situation with Ryan Fraser, Billy, and I think that's been expected for a long time. I mean, my earlier video today, I said, it hasn't happened for him, has it, at Newcastle?
No, he came into a situation where he was coming, actually went on strike against the manager he has now, and the club he was at before to come here. No one else wanted him by all accounts. Just Newcastle United were interested, so he came here for free. And his first season was nothing short of horrendous, really. I remember him getting sent off against Sheffield United when he didn't really give a toss about it. It seemed to have been sent off, walked off. No disappointment in him at all, and his attitude was a bit iffy at times. So I thought he had a better season last seson, especially after Eddie Howe came in. He had one or two good games. But I think we've progressed past Ryan Fraser now and mere effort and not being able to tactically kind of contribute to what the team are doing and just providing legs. And I think the team's moved on ahead of Ryan Fraser now. And I'm not sure whether he obviously doesn't like it, but I don't think he's really put himself out for us, if I'm perfectly honest, over the 2 or 3 years he's been here.
Do you think, Rob, that Eddie's just run out of patience with him? Because he did say a couple of months ago that he was asked the question why Ryan Fraser wasn't in the squad. And he said, look, he needs to train harder. He needs to get himself back to his best. And obviously didn't hammer him. He just said he was a tremendous player and he knew what he could do. But do you think behind the scenes something hasn't been quite right?
Yeah, I actually do. I don't like to talk bad of players or speculate, but I just think it's quite strange timing. You think really, going into the start of the January window, you presume he would have gone to him, right, come on, Ryan, I'd like to maybe see you move this January. And it's a tough one because he's played for the club. He possibly hasn't fulfilled all the potential we hope to see, but generally has had stints of good football. But the thing is, he's in a team that's winning, is a great laugh. Everybody's loving it. We've got training ground upgrades. The stadium's great. Whether he's playing or not, he's getting paid a lot of money to go in and have a good crack with his mates every day and play a little bit of football. And if Eddie Howe said to him, come on now, I'd like to see you try either work harder, play harder, or even, Ryan, can you please have a word with some potential loans this January window? And he's come out the back end of it and he's gone, well, I'd rather just stay here, Gaffer, because I like it here, And you don't want to, you can't, people have got families, they've got homes. You can't just tell people to get out as and when you want them to. But
absolutely,
at some point, Eddie's got to say to him, look, we would like to move you on, and that's potentially his way of trying to get a bit of a reaction out of him.
Yeah. Ian Toon Trader says, thanks for your $4.99 super chat, mate. He says, would Rob consider doing more live interactive shows like the Toon Review, or just coming on here more often, as I think he's great cracking this format?
Oh, that's very kind. Yeah, I'm always keen to jump on the Toon Review and chat with you guys. Live stuff is something that I have done myself on occasion.
Yeah, you have, yeah.
I actually swapped, was it No, I think at once upon a time I did actually do Toon Tuesdays live, and I used to do like a Premier League roundup as well.
Yeah.
It's just a timing thing. That the difference with live is, as I know with you guys, it's every night 8 p.m. For me, unfortunately, I can't always commit to doing a night, because that's the way you should do it. You should schedule it, because that's why you guys have got such a. It's a big part of why you guys have got such a great following, because they know where you guys are going to be. They know what day it is. They know if it's the Friday show or. Whereas for me, because I'm a bit all over the place, it means with videos, if I need to, I can do it the day before or the day before that.
Yeah.
I would like to. Yes, I will. I'll try.
Gary says, I remember Matty and Rob doing a video on a golf course of all places. Yeah, you and Matty have done some joint videos in some very strange. I remember you did one. I don't know what away game you were going to. You did one on the bloody train platform.
Yes, that was.
I can't remember what game it was.
I think it might have been. Was it Southampton? I think it might be in the Southampton game. Yeah, I went all the way down there, stayed over the night before, so we were both quite hungover for that video. But
well, there's a surprise, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all good fun. The golf course one's a good laugh. It's just trying to mix it up, because with it as well, being a Newcastle channel, you want to still try and do Newcastle content, but it can sometimes be a bit of a visual change to have a bit of something on in the background. So
definitely.
So maybe in the summer I can try another one.
Well, like I say, we like to have a laugh on here. We talk serious football, but we also like to have a bit of a joke around. I think that's what people like see. They don't like it being sort of serious stuff all the time. You've got to enjoy yourself.
I have a serious comment, because I want to add something about Ryan Fraser.
I thought you might, to be fair.
Well, I haven't had my bit on him yet.
Just 1 second. George says, is the stream working okay? Mine keeps pausing, then gone for a few minutes. George, that will probably be your broadband, because it's probably as old as you are. I think it's yours, mate. There's nothing wrong with the stream. George knows I'm joking. He sits next to me at the football. He's a lovely bloke. Anyway, go on then, Alex. The floor is yours.
Right. I'm not going to be as sympathetic to Ryan Fraser as others. As he was 27 going on 28 years old during sort of last season, when he was supposed to be in his prime, and he had a few good games, 2 or 3 good games. The rest of it was masked by social media saying he's a workhorse. He was having to be substituted at 70 minutes every match because he couldn't complete a match. That doesn't mean he's worked his butt off. It means he's not fit enough. He's a winger in his prime, and he was blowing out of his arse at 65 minutes, and he was not tracking or doing anything. So fair enough, some of the other wingers in the squad get gypped for it, and rightly so. If you don't track, you don't track. Fair enough. He's going to be 29 years old in 3 days. He's completely blown his peak. It's gone. He's on 42 grand a week. That's good money for the fact he's currently just been banished to the under-21s. Well, I say banished. I'm not sure exactly what Craig Hope's wording was, whether it's just been asked to train with them nicely. I'm not sure, but that's by the by. He's contracted until 2025 as well. And I agree with what Rob said. He should have been asked, Ryan, go find yourself somewhere else in January, mate. It's done. I'm afraid it's done. You're costing the club a lot of money. Jacob Murphy's here on wages and is contributing to the atmosphere, the whole squad. He's being useful as a substitute. He's not great. He's not the future, but he's making a go of it. And we like him for it. What's Fraser done? He's not doing that at all. And he's on a lot of wages no, I'm sorry. There's only so long you can get by on, Dan Burn's really tall and I'm really small. That's only going to fly for so long, I'm afraid. Yes, it's really funny. It's great. It's great. But we want people who are going to play football as well. You can't just be a cheerleader, I'm afraid. And he's not that either. We think it's funny that Lascelles and Murphy do it, but this kid's not even the cheerleader. He's just not contributing anything at all.
Somebody put a comment on the earlier video I did today and say, well, you were saying that when I was talking about Fraser saying it hasn't happened and then, I'm disappointed in him and things like that. And somebody said, well, you said that a year or 2 years ago about Joe Linton. And I said, yeah, everybody said that about Joe Linton.
Mate, if Fraser has this character arc, then oh my God.
Well, yeah, but
I'll dye my hair pink, not blonde. If Fraser comes out and is the best winger in the league, I'll dye my hair pink.
Well, yeah,
or the best centre half.
Exactly.
Or the
But
best centre half, yeah.
But I went on to, I replied to him to say that things are different because you never accuse Joe Linton of having a bad attitude, where Fraser's got previous, and that's fact.
He's
got
played
previous.
for Sunderland for a start, which Joe Linton hasn't. So
well, fair enough. With Joe Linton, he's put his head down. He's listened to Eddie Howe. He's worked with the coaches, and he's turned into one of the top midfielders in the Premier League. That's the difference here. There's a massive difference, Rob, between the two of them.
Yeah, Joe Linton has been tremendous, hasn't he? And that's the thing. It's you've got some players who want to work for it, and it's the way of life, really. There are some people out there who want to make it work, and some who, not specifically pointing at Ryan Fraser or anybody else, but some who can just walk into training, pick up their wages, and then go home at the end of it. And what it is, Joe Linton was contracted. He could have put his head down. He could have gone, sod this, but he hasn't. And I think that's why there's been such a great love for someone like Eddie Howe as well, is that he's kind of come in and he's turned these players around. But unfortunately, he's, as magic as he is, he's not he can't make people who don't want to play for the club. So, and that's where we want to be as well. As Alex has rightly said, the likes of, Jacob Murphy, he is a Newcastle fan, and it's clear that he's loving being here and that he is working his, that's the thing. Whether you've got ability or not, the very least you can do is run your heart and soul out. And it's clear to see that someone like him is doing that whenever he walks on the pitch.
Yeah, 100%, definitely. Spike Milligan, thank you very much for your 20 quid super chat, buddy. He says, Fraser plays well for Scotland, but not for us. Very suspicious. Yeah, well, we've said that. We've questioned that numerous times, how he's suddenly injured, then goes and plays for Scotland, plays really well for them, and then comes back and he's injured again. It's strange. Stiff Gator says, my arse has gone like a rabbit's nose. I think most of us will be come Sunday. Shamrock's actually start to feel excited. Tom's calm but excited. Mix is well done. Rubes on 40k, amazing. Malcolm says, is the referee a Man United fan? Now, there's been a bit of... apparently, I found out today, apparently he's a Notts County fan, but the reason he's been linked so heavily at Manchester United, and Billy, we were talking about this the other day, is that he did some kind of course at Old Trafford. He studied there, and that's why some pictures have come out of him, on the pitch at Old Trafford and things like that. Yeah,
but let's be honest, all referees are Manchester United fans in some way, aren't they? They all give that. Every single ref I've seen has given them advantageous decisions, and it's been happening for years. Not just this season; it's been going on for 20 years. Who can forget the Steve Bruce goal when he played for Man United in the 98th minute of 2 minutes injury time, way back in '93 against Sheffield Wednesday? They've had it for years and years and years and years, and it keep going.
As you pointed out, Billy, that it was Coote who made the decision. He was in the VAR when Sabitzer put his knee through Ward Fast the other day, and it was ignored. So that's concerning.
100%.
Yeah. Shamrock says, Paul, I watch the Toon review every evening on my TV in the bedroom. Well, you didn't have to tell us what room you watch it in, Shamrock. That's your personal decision to watch it in the bedroom. Billy, quiet. Sean says, going to work this morning, they did all the goals with music on the radio, and that gives you goosebumps. And now I'm ready for the cup final. Come on, the Toon. Simon says, I've still got scars from the Mike Ashley era, so struggle with complete optimism. It's an interesting point, Rob, because we haven't had a lot to look forward to the last 15 years, and it's been, as we said, running a channel, it's been difficult. I mean, I just spent my early days on YouTube screaming at my camera, losing the plot over how bad Newcastle were. But it's different now, isn't it? It's we've all had to adjust into this sudden rise. And look, we know we're ahead of where we should be, that we're ahead of schedule and things like that. Yeah. But it's a brilliant ride to be on this that we haven't been used to for so long.
No, I feel like just around now, just kind of, coming into the kind of Christmas period of the season is where I think my mentality started to change. I spent far too many times saying, oh, well, hopefully we'll be all right. Or going into a game going, oh, well, I think it's like the ball rolls back to the the centre backs or the goalkeeper. And, back in the day, you're going, oh God, just kick it out.
Pass
Get
it
the
out
ball
from the back.
away.
Yeah.
And then Sven Botman takes a touch and he passes it to Shaw. And I'm going, it's the players have got the confidence. I felt like they were more confident than I am. So it's just kind of changing that mentality. We actually are good at keeping the ball and we actually are good at defending. Was quite a strange, mental switch. But we're doing it, and it's been great to see. And the last couple of games have been tough without Bruno, but I think that's why I think there's a lot of hope for us going into the final. Like you said, I saw his interview. I think the interviewer actually asked him, has it been a benefit for you because you've been able to concentrate on like the one upcoming game? And he actually looked quite disappointed. He was like, oh well, yeah, that is one positive to it, but really what I wanted to be doing was out playing for the team. So you could see how much it means to him just in an interview. I mean, that is one thing that I'm hoping Eddie Howe can keep a lid on for this weekend, and that's actually the emotions of the players. We saw it in the semi-final. I think obviously Bruno getting a red card, we know that someone like Joe Linton can be quite an emotional player on the pitch. And I think actually for the first time in a while, coming into the end of that second leg, we did start booting the ball away a little bit, which hasn't something that we'd seen too much of. And I think it was just because they knew they were so close to the final. Just get it out. Like, I'm hoping Eddie Howe could have tried and spent some time with them to just try and cool it. The last thing we need to do is give away a silly foul in the first 5-10 minutes. But yeah, in Eddie Howe we trust. So I'm sure he'll have it under control.
Yeah, I mean, look, they'll come out and, as Henry Winter said yesterday, the likes of Callum Wilson, Kieran Trippier, he's been there and done it. He knows what kind of atmosphere to expect. But for the other guys, probably not. And it's very important that they do keep a level head. It might be, first 5-10 minutes, it might be a bit rocky. But if we can stay compact and stay together and not concede, then I do believe we have a wonderful chance. Have you promised to do anything crazy if we win, Rob?
No, I haven't.
No.
Have you?
Well, I haven't, but our good James Bond-looking man, Alex, down the bottom there, has actually told everybody that he's going to dye his hair blonde.
Wow.
So
if we win.
Yeah, so that's an even bigger incentive for any Newcastle United player or coach watching this show tonight. Please win. Please.
I mean, when did does anybody remember when I made this promise? I mean, I do remember making it. I'm just not sure when it was.
Oh,
it was when nobody thought we'd be in the final, Alex. It was
no. Well, it must have been.
You must have thought you were safe for that one.
I
thought I'd have at least 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. James Logan, thank you for your $10 super chat. Got home from work and turned on YouTube to see my 2 favorite channels together. Much love to the Toon Review and Rob. How are the lads? Let's get that trophy. Thank you very much, James, over there in, I believe it's the States. Somebody's just commented that this one of their friends went to school with Ryan Fraser and said he was arrogant and things like that. Well, we don't know him personally, so it's not for us to say things like that. If that's your friend's view, that's fair enough. Lawrence says, if Fraser has been sent to train with under 21s, I'd be concerned about him. Was good last season, but hasn't been the same this season. And Murphy's outperformed him.
Was he good last season?
No. He had a 3-game spell, didn't he? Brentford away, Leeds away, Norwich away.
Just for the sake of consistency, if we're saying that Ryan Fraser had a good season, then it means Maxi had a great season because he got 5 goals and 5 assists. So if you guys, I say you guys, some of you are saying that Ryan Fraser had a good season, that means Maxi was incredible. And a lot of people don't agree with that. So I just don't quite understand the consistency of how we evaluate players, whether they're good or not. I'm lost. Like, because people say, oh, Maxi only did it against Man City and Wolves and then got injured.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan Fraser only did it against like 2 or 3 teams, but we're saying he's good. Like what?
Brentford away was 1 against 10 men.
Well, yeah. Is that great? It's expected, surely.
Well, I think it's expected. I mean, look, I have been a fan since he joined. I thought there was one game, I think he came on, was it the Burnley penalty shootout in the Carabao Cup? And I thought, yeah, give him a shot. And he didn't. So, he's gone. He's not going to play for us again.
He scored for us what? He scored 2 goals in 3 seasons. 2 goals in the league.
Yeah.
He scored
5
against Everton.
assists.
Everton last year at home. I think I might have a good game that night. Yeah.
That's all he's got. 3 seasons we've had him.
Yeah.
In his peak as well.
Jabba Dabba thank you for your £5 super chat. He says, I'm confident that we will win 2-1. Unsung hero Carrius and Man United players don't whine like little schoolgirls. Rob, obviously the goalkeeping situation, are you worried about Carrius playing, or do you think, I mean, look, I'm convinced he was concussed in that Champions League final, and everybody's making far too much of it, because if you look at how he played that season, he was very, very good for Liverpool. But he took a hell of a blow to the side of the head off Ramos, and it didn't look the same. And a lot of people said that he was hung out to dry by Jurgen Klopp. So is this his moment for redemption?
I really hope so. I think it shows a lot of kind of where Newcastle and the fans are, because I think 3-4 years ago we're heading in, we've just lost our number one goalkeeper, who has not only been a big part of keeping the ball out of the net, but as part of that back five, if you will, defensive partnership. A few years ago that happens and everybody's going, it's over. It just shows the change in mentality of Newcastle fans right now. The optimism is through the roof. The discussion of redemption stories and can Carrius be the one to save us? I mean, I'm all for it. I'm loving the sound, and definitely. The cups are where the magic happens. So I'm really hoping it's true. We haven't really seen him, so it's quite hard to have an opinion either way, which is why it's far more fun to jump on the redemption arc story than it is to absolutely go the other way.
Interesting fact here, Paul. I'm going to compare this final on Sunday to the one against Manchester United in 1999. And I know you're old enough to remember, Paul, but can you remember what the big talking point was about the Newcastle lineup the week before the cup final in 1999? And it's quite coincidental, actually.
Steve Harper had to play, didn't he?
It was. Would it be Given or would it be Harper? And,
he played Harper.
Strange decision, and one that didn't work for him. But
no, that was a very, very, very strange decision. And it was Ruud Gullit. Let's face it. A lot of. Rob, just one more, because I know you've got to shoot, mate. You're a busy man at the minute, packing and getting ready for it. I can't believe you're going on holiday and all after the cup final. I tell you what.
Yes, I know.
Where you heading?
Heading straight off to Lanzarote for a week after the final.
Nice.
So it had already been booked for a while. I've had to move me flights around for the final, but no, I'm hoping I'll be celebrating for a week on the beers in Lanzarote. Or crying for a week, but either way, at least I'm in a hot country.
Exactly, that would be nice. Jim just wants to know: do you have a normal job as well, Rob?
Yes, I do. Yeah, so YouTube is a hobby.
Have you ever thought about going full time YouTube?
I mean, it's something I've thought about, but it's a strange one, and I totally get it, because having something that you love as a job is a great thing. And I have had spells where I've kind of been away with work or taken time off and had the chance to kind of concentrate on YouTube. But I try not to take it too seriously. I feel like it can sometimes, if it becomes a job, can feel like a job. At the moment, I'm kind of enjoying just doing it as and when, and it takes a bit of pressure off it as well.
It does,
maybe, who knows, a few years' time when Newcastle are booming, maybe I'll have the option. But for now,
when we're playing in the World Club Championships and stuff like that, and we're having to go all over the world to watch these tournaments. That would be great.
Sounds good to me.
Devon said it would be great to get Rob and Matty on at the same time on here. Well, I'm sure we can arrange that one day. Definitely, that would be a great, and they'd actually be in a decent place and not on the side of a railway or something. But well, definitely. Right, come on then, Rob. What's the score going to be?
You know what it is? I've not actually done a prediction yet, so this will be.
This is an exclusive.
Yes, it is. Oh, cool. Well, I'm gonna back it. I'm gonna back the win. I've got to do it. I'm gonna go. I want to see Carrius keep a clean sheet as well. I was gonna say I'm gonna go 1-0. I'm gonna take. I think it'll be tight. Carrius will keep Rashford out for the whole game. Wilson will put the ball in the net, and we'll will kick the ball out repeatedly for the last 15 to 20 minutes. But we won't care because we'll take home the cup.
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't care at all, no matter how much flack we got. Listen, mate, thank you for coming on, buddy. You've been absolutely brilliant. Really appreciate you giving us your time because I know you're busy at the minute, getting packed up and things like that. You lucky bugger. I may bump into you down there, mate. And see if you're actually seeing straight for one, but I'm sure you'll have a blast either way.
No, thank you for having me on, guys. I'm a big fan of the show, so I appreciate the time to come on and say hello. And enjoy your week and enjoy the game.
We will, matey. You take care and safe travels down there, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Have a great weekend,
everyone.
Good night, bud.
Take care.
Absolute top man. Really, really, really good guy is Rob. Got a lot of time for him, and he just loves Newcastle United, and his energy on his channel is brilliant. So please go and subscribe to Rob. Over 40K now, which is an incredible achievement. So well done to him for that. And obviously, his description his channel link is down in the description. So just click on that, give him a subscription, and you'll have a blast watching him as well. And hopefully bump into him down there in London at the weekend. We'll stay with you for about 15 more minutes. We've got some more comments to go through. Showboat says, always picture Fraser with steam coming off his head, so seems to do a lot but contribute very little. This is something you picked up on a lot, Alex, in sort of match reviews that we did, isn't it? Just like,
look, I've said what I've said. I don't want to sort of character slay him. I'm sure he's a lovely guy. I'm just going by what I've seen as a fan. You know, I'm not a professional. I'm not a coach. This is just my observation. I think people made a lot of him trying hard. You know, if you're sweaty and red, does it mean, it looks like you've tried hard, but have you actually run the ground? Whereas a player like Longstaff doesn't look knackered, but doesn't get the credit for how much ground he covers because he is fit enough to cover that ground and he can do it for 90 minutes. He's starting to get the recognition now for just how much ground he covers, but he's always done that. Back in the summer when FBref still had the pressure statistics on the site, he was in the top 4% in Europe for pressures per 90. And that's a big reason why we imagined that, because at the end of last season, we thought, oh, Sean's got a new 3-year contract. Okay. And he's obviously seen something in Sean. What's going on here? And we tried to have a little dig and, physique, athleticism, the pressures, there was definitely something there that he could work with. And look at how well Sean Longstaff's playing now. Whereas Ryan Fraser, in my opinion, is the polar opposite. I feel like he's small, he's 5'4", but he doesn't have the speed or turn of pace to offset that or the physicality. He's got a reasonably good technical ability. His crosses are very good, but so are Richie's. So, for £42,000 a week, contracted until 2025. I just think that ship sailed, and I wish him the best of luck. He's from Aberdeen. He started at Aberdeen. Maybe go back to Scotland, play in Aberdeen.
Yeah, Scotland, Scottish League would be good. Yeah, they could actually having a rotten season.
I've seen a few people say actually that we haven't maintained a high press or even committed to a high press the past three games. Big reason for that is where Sean Longstaff's been playing. Yeah, no doubt about
it. George says, Paul says that I sit in front of him. That's only when he turns up. I can't help getting invited to be in the posh seats, mate. It's not that I don't turn up at the games. What he means is turn up to my seat, because I'm in the posh seat sometimes, which is Andy's box. And, Andy's just an absolute gent who sometimes invites me and Phoebe so Phoebe can go to the game because she doesn't have a season ticket. So it's nice to be able to take Phoebe, who's just got so much into football over the last year and a half. It's incredible. And to be able to take Phoebe to Wembley is just a dream. David Smith, thank you very much for your $4.99 super chat. He says, if Rob is right and it's 1-0 with 10 minutes to go, I will be watching from behind the settee and hope the heart doesn't give out. If it's 1-0 to us with 10 minutes to go, I have no idea what state I'll be in, by the way. Never mind any other person around us. I mean, Billy, for you doing the commentary, I don't think it's just doesn't bear thinking about.
I'm having palpitations thinking about it.
Oh, I mean, extra time and penalties would kill me off. I am in no illusion. I couldn't hack it. I just couldn't. I just pray to God we get the job done in 90 minutes and we see the lads lifting that trophy, because at the end of the day, boy, do we need it. Leonardo says Karius has been dreaming about this day. He was concussed in that final and was unfairly treated. He's a brilliant keeper, and Sunday he'll prove it. Are you looking forward to seeing Karius play, Alex?
No, not really.
Wow. Okay.
I would be looking forward to seeing him play if it was the stakes weren't so high. If it was a friendly, or we could ease him in.
We're going to wait in the third round.
Exactly. That would be my preferred sort of game for him. Obviously, in the friendly in Saudi Arabia, he played the first 45 minutes and he was excellent. The standard was a lot lower, and Gillespie in the second half was atrocious, may I add. Can I just on a side note, have you guys seen the media coverage of everywhere this week? Been talking about, they set the conversation up with the two goalkeepers and then just only talk about Karius for the next 10, because it's obviously not going to be Gillespie in goal. It's just, I don't like Gillespie in terms of taking 10 grand a week to never play football from us. But in the same sense, it feels a little bit harsh that it's like, oh, it's you or you, but it's going to be Karius. Anyway,
well, the thing that got me was I was looking through the news articles this morning. I saw one from a Glasgow newspaper talking about Gillespie and obviously his time at Motherwell and things like that, and saying that and at the top it says ex-Motherwell goalie set to start the game of his life, and I'm like, no, he's just not.
Sean Longstaff as well said. Well, obviously Mark's got experience at Wembley with Carlisle, and it's like, Sean, you don't have to do that for him, mate. You don't have to say that. Like, he's not going to play. Come on.
No. But he'll be on the bench, so he could get on to play though, Alex. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
Well, we don't want two goalkeeper red cards.
Oh God! I mean, look, I just hope he has an absolute blinder. Karius. It's not going to be Gillespie. I think it's just not. It's
time for his redemption arc.
It is just like a phoenix from the flames. Ian, Mr. Spoons, he must be in a good mood tonight. Thank you for your $9.99 super chat, buddy. He says, I agree with Alex on Fraser. For me, he's not got the minerals to dig in and fight for his place, unlike Sean. Put this towards sweets and pop for Phoebe on the journey down, Paul, and text me where you are. Cheers, Ian. That's a lovely suggestion, mate. Thank you so much. I think I just can't wait to start sort of driving down there, because, like we said earlier, it is going to be a parade of black and white, I think, on the Saturday more than the Sunday, Billy, because I think a lot will be going down for the weekend. Yeah,
and look at the bridges above you as you go through as well. There'll probably be black and white flags hanging off the bridges on the motorways. Yeah, it's an amazing sight when you go down to Wembley. I'll go back to 99 and 98 and every car.
Well, I was going to ask you, Billy, about 99 especially. I mean, for those that are sort of weren't around, or were too young to remember, what was 99 final like for you as a fan?
Horrific. However, it wasn't unexpected, which kind of took the edge off it a little bit. This was a team that we were playing against that went on to win the treble. They were the best side in Europe that year. And even though it was Man United, and it hurts to say it, they were. There was a bit of optimism early doors when Roy Keane went off injured. And we thought maybe it could be our day, but in the end it wasn't. And as far as I can remember Ketspire hitting the post, and that was really the only shot on target we had in the whole game. They dominated us from start to finish, and we froze. And it wasn't as good as the previous year. Did we? No, the previous year was better. There was more friendly atmosphere between us and the Arsenal supporters. Yeah. It was more of a community outside the ground, and this is the old Wembley, by the way. So you used to be on the green outside the ground and games of football and stuff like that. It was good times. Man United fans just seemed a bit too uppity to get involved in any of that stuff. And
surely not, Billy. Surely not. You can't say that.
This is how it was. It was a completely different kettle of fish. And the problem, I look back at it now, and I just wish that instead of having Kenny Dalglish managers at one final and Ruud Gullit at the other, if Sir Bobby had come after Kevin Keegan resigned, I think we'd have won both those cup finals, and we would never have been in that situation where we were with Dalglish and Gullit. But again, that's,
well, of course, as I said last night, watched the Bobby Robson documentary the other night, and I think there's a few commented today that they've watched it today. That you know, I mean, Lady Elsie talks about it when we went out to see him behind closed doors and nobody knew about it. And he actually told Sir John, yes, I'm coming. And then he rang him the same night and he could tell that Bobby's voice had changed. And he decided to stay at Barcelona. And then the end of that season, they moved him upstairs. And they brought Van Hal in. So it could have been very, very different, of course. Julie J, thank you for your £5 super chat. He says it was really nice to see Rob here, and hope he returns to the Toon review again sometime. It was a great show tonight. Time for Ryan Fraser to go now. Yeah, Rob will be back on. He's a good mate of mine. He's a good lad. Paul, who's sitting in your seats when you're gavelanting in the posh? Well, nobody actually this time around. Although when I did look over, it did look like somebody was sitting in my seat. It didn't seem like there was an empty seat there. And I thought, well, hang on a minute. That's a bit weird because I haven't given it to anybody. I mean, George was there. He can confirm if anyone was in my seat. I mean,
I'll tell you what I did earlier as well. I mean, I went to the game in '76. I watched the highlights earlier. And once again, it was a disrupted campaign going for that cup final in '76 against Man City. Because half the team spent the whole week in bed with flu. The League Cup in them days was played on a Saturday. But we played really well. But Man City literally had 2 or 3 shots the whole game. One was an overhead kick, which they scored from. And one was their first shot on target after about 15 minutes. We played really well that game. And, it just seemed at that time that it was the start of things going against. Well, just after the start of things going against us, finals was, wasn't it?
It's our time.
It is now.
James says, Paul, what day are you travelling to London? I'm going down on Saturday, staying overnight near Northampton?
It is, yes.
Okay, right, there you go.
You'll be near the Cobblers Stadium, technically. All
right. And then heading into London very early on the Sunday morning and just savour every bloody moment. I'm sure I've just seen somebody ask where can Shamrock says, where can I watch the Bobby Robson documentary? I watched it on...
Is it Prime?
I watched it on IPTV, I think, but I think it's on Prime. It will be on Amazon, definitely. Try Amazon, Shamrock. It should be on Amazon Prime.
It's either Prime or Netflix, or one of them two, definitely.
Kira says, how old is your daughter, Paul? Is she excited? She's 14, mate. She's she was never into football, to be honest, until the Euros. Was it last year now? Or the year? It was last year, wasn't it? No, the year before.
2021.
2021. It was the year before because we had the Christmas World Cup.
2020, wasn't it? So it was a year, yeah. So since then, she got into football. Then she's loved it ever since. I've always took her to Newcastle when I could get tickets. But I always thought, I had 2 daughters, and then my son came along, and I thought, you always have that dream to repeat what you did with your dad and father and son kind of thing, walking up to St. James's and stuff. But he doesn't bother with football at all. But Phoebe is massively into it. She's got all these FIFA apps on her phone, the FIFA cards, whatever they are, and all of these stuff. Plays FIFA on her PlayStation, and she's just massively into Newcastle United now. And I'm so proud. It's going to be brilliant for me to be able to take her to Wembley on Sunday and just savor the moment, and look at her face when she walks into Wembley and sees Wembley for the first time, and it's just like that, really. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one that will experience that because obviously we haven't been there for so long. It's going to be a real experience for anybody doing that with the kids. So really looking forward to it. Shamrock says, happy days, Paul. I have Prime. I'll try it there. Yes, please do. Right. That is it for tonight, guys. Thank you very much for joining us on this Wednesday evening. Again, building up to the cup final. The excitement is kicking in. Tomorrow night at 8 p.m, we do have the full match preview. So the 3 of us will be taking a much bigger dive into the game, looking at different tactics, looking at the opposition. Where can we win the game? Where have we got to be switched on? So all of the sort of tactical stuff we'll talk about tomorrow night in the preview.
Obviously, during the show, Man United will be playing Barcelona.
Yes,
so
they will.
Keep an eye on what's going on.
Yes,
while we're live, which is
so
great.
Billy will be our eye in the sky for that, of course, and we'll see how they're getting on. And then, of course, Friday night is a TTR Cup final special. I think Billy's got something planned for that show, but he's not saying anything because he texted me earlier on today and asked a few questions, and I'm sort of sitting there going, what's he up to? So it's not to be missed. Whatever Billy's planning, I'm sure it's not to be missed. So please do take part in that. And then, of course, on Sunday, Billy has the watch along. We're not sure what time we're starting yet, but obviously we'll let you know probably towards the back end of the week what time he's going to start the show. I'm going to try and join him from Wembley, where you know, when I'm walking up with Alex, try and get on live. And just to sort of save the atmosphere and things like that. I will do some vlogging down there, you know, traveling down and things like that, and put some videos up on the channel so you can sort of experience it with me as well, which I think will be good for you all who can't get there as well. So, Mrs. Stato's in the house. Good evening, Mrs. Stato.
Hi, Mummy Stato.
Yes. Yeah, there's a Mrs. Stato and a Mummy Stato.
All right, well, Mummy Stato's in the house. So nice to see you. And yeah, and keep your eye open tomorrow, guys, because we do have another premiere tomorrow, probably around 6 p.m. Very, very special guest that we're having an interview in the morning with. So that will go out on the channel about 6 o'clock, and then we'll go live with you. Remember, these premieres, you can join in the chat, join in the show. You can still super chat and things like that. But obviously, if you ask us any questions, we're not going to answer because it's not live. But you can still take part in the chat with everybody and have some fun with it. So that will be on tomorrow as well. So don't miss that. Really special guest coming on. But thank you very much. Thank you to Rob for taking the time out. Thank you to our mods, super chatters, everybody. Don't forget to hit the like button on the way out, guys. It really does help the channel. And of course, if you're new and like what you see, make sure you hit the subscribe button and come and be part of this amazing growing family that we have here on the Toon Review. Nearly at 17,500 now. We want to get up over 20. We really want to aim high, guys, and with your help, we will get there. But thank you very much, Billy and Alex, and we will all see you tomorrow. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your night, guys. Good night.
How are the lads and lasses?